Hello, my name is Dr. Lakshmi and welcome to Tips Journal Club. Today we are going to talk about research paper. At home, telehealth supported ketamine treatment for depression. Findings from longitudinal, machine learning and symptom network analysis of real-world data. This was published in Journal of Affective Disorders in May 2024. The authors are Mathai et al. Given the growing evidence of antidepressant effects of esketamine, there is an increasing need to improve access to racemic ketamine, which has comparatively better efficacy and safety profile than esketamine. Oral or sublingual ketamine could address this need at a lower cost. This longitudinal study explores the safety and effectiveness of at-home, telehealth-supported sublingual ketamine treatment for depression. Let's discuss methods now. Around 11,441 moderately to severely depressed adult patients who presented to the telehealth platform mindbloom.com were studied. Patients receiving a second course of treatment were also examined. In them, 4 doses of sublingual ketamine over 4 weeks, with the availability of ongoing clinical, psychosocial, and peer telesupport was given. Dosing was initiated at 300 mg to 600 mg of ketamine sublingual tablets to approximate a weight-based dose of 5 mg per kilogram and was adjusted during the process of administration. This study was done without a comparison or control group. And treatment response was defined as a greater than or equal to 50% reduction in symptom score on the PHQ-9 from baseline to session 4 of treatment. Machine learning and symptom network analysis was used to investigate treatment outcomes. Significant improvement was seen in depression scores. To specify, around 56% was response rate and 28% was remission rate after 4 sessions. If we focus on adverse events, the numbers are as follows: around 4.3% after session 2 and 4.8% after session 4. Common adverse effects included memory impairment, suicidal ideation, and abdominal pain. Serious adverse events occurred in 6 patients, all psychiatric in nature. In second round of treatment, 84% of patients who responded initially maintained or recovered with a second round. However, for those who did not respond initially, the benefits of a second course were also limited. At home, telehealth-supported ketamine administration is a viable and effective treatment for depression. Further research is needed to optimize treatment protocols and understand long-term effects. There were 5 key findings in the study. Number 1. At-home ketamine was largely safe and well-tolerated. Number 2. Lower baseline depression scores and younger age were strong predictors of improvement. Number 3. Depressed mood and anhedonia were key symptoms sustaining depression despite treatment. Number 4. The adverse events were relatively low, occurring in 3 to 5% of participants, and were predominantly neurologic or psychiatric in nature. And the last one, a second course of ketamine treatment helped extend improvements in patients who responded favorably to the initial treatment. There are few key concepts in network analysis which psychiatrists need to know. Number 1. Nodes. Nodes represent the entities or variables in the network. To give an example, the symptoms or the individuals can be nodes of network analysis. Number 2. Edges. Edges represent the connections or relationships between nodes, for example, correlation between symptoms or social ties. Number 3. Directed versus undirected networks. Directed networks have edges with a direction, for example, cause-effect relationships, while undirected networks do not specify direction. And lastly, weighted versus unweighted networks. Weighted networks assign a strength or weight to edges, indicating the intensity of the relationship, while unweighted networks treat all connections equally. Now let's focus on machine learning. To know machine learning, we need to know what is predictive modeling. In this study, machine learning algorithms, such as random forest, were used to predict which patients were more likely to improve with ketamine treatment. The models identified key predictors of treatment response, such as lower baseline depression scores and younger age, providing a data-driven approach to understanding which patients benefit most from the treatment. This was the predictive modeling used in the study. Here are few ways in which machine learning is useful. Number 1. Handling large data sets. Machine learning efficiently processes and analyzes large data sets, like the one in this study with over 11,000 patients. Algorithms can handle missing data, identify patterns, and classify patients into different outcome trajectories. This allows for robust analysis and identification of subgroups within the patient population, enhancing the understanding of treatment effects. Number 2. Integration of both methods. Machine learning provides predictive power and handles large-scale data efficiently, while network analysis offers a detailed view of symptom interactions and temporal changes.